trades, okay? And just look at those numbers. You'll see right now they're at 86 and 81. So I got 86 winning trades, 81 losing trades, okay? And the other thing is, up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the date range that this system is covering right now. So it goes from April 30th, 2003 to current, all right? And that's your total profit, 288 points. Here's your profit factor of 192. And remember when I was telling you yesterday, if this is kind of one of your first key number here, if these two are equal, your net and your gross loss and your net profit, if these two are equal, this number will be 2. 192 is pretty darn good. You know, a little better than 50%, which isn't great, but that's okay because I'm going for a 10-point target on this thing. You know, how many times do you get a 10-point target? So anyway, I'm going to change the stop real quick. But remember, 86 winners, 81 losers. And I'm just going to vary it by 1 tick. Okay. I'll say, oops, 98. Okay, made no difference at all. And that's the kind of thing I want to see. Where I would really see a difference in this is on shorter term systems where I got lower targets. You know, if I'm going for, you know, just a couple of points or something like that, you'll see those numbers change. Since this is a bigger target, let's go down to 90. 86, 81. Okay, so no matter what I do, it still stays the same. But you know, notice your profit's now coming down from 290, whatever it was, to 279. So in any case, that's kind of what you do. Now the other thing I didn't mention, and again, it's written up fairly well in the book, I think, in my section, is basically all I did yesterday and all I've shown you up to now is I'm ultimately curve fitting this set of data. Okay, there is no question about it. And the other thing I should have done is change this from what are we doing here? Typically, I would have started this whole process with 5,000 bars, okay? So I would ultimately have curve fit that 5,000 bars. I don't deny it. It's absolutely true because you pretty much saw what I did, and I would vary the indicator values and so on and so forth, get it to the point where I've got a good-looking equity curve, okay? And, you know, I'd come back here and I'd see these results. I'd take a look at this equity curve, and I'd say, okay, that's pretty good looking. Now, what I then do is go from 5,000 to 10,000. I want to see consistency. I don't want to see big dips in that equity curve. I don't want to see the profitability, you know, it was 51%. I don't want to see that going down to 45% to 40%. I don't want to see the winners now overtaking losers. I want to see true consistency top to bottom. I'll go back another 5,000 bars. Same thing. Another 5,000, work my way up to 30,000 bars, and if in the extra 25,000 bars it shows me the same type of results, then I'm happy with it. Because believe me, you can curve fit like this on a 5,000 bar sample period, and you start throwing in another 5,000 bars, and suddenly everything just goes not good. Okay, so you know it's highly possible. Anyway, you asked, the money management thing I was going to talk about was no real big deal. Is there any questions on this?
Is there a place to optimize automatically?
No. No. There is no, yeah, you sit here and you go back and forth and you change the values. You're the optimizer. Any other questions on this? No. Okay. The money management really is nothing more than a lot of people have, especially beginning traders, you have no real mechanism or no idea how to start increasing your number of contracts. Suppose, let's just keep it simple, you start at one contract. You know, you have 3 or 4 winners in a row, you're king of the hill, you suddenly start increasing to 2, 3, 4 contracts. Like, that's just not the way to do things. You know, stay with one contract, stay with one contract, stay with one contract, and a really good number, just for instance, on say the S&P, where you got basically a $4,000 margin to carry overnight. Once you achieve a $4,000 profit trading whatever system it is or whatever method you're using to trade, doesn't really matter, you get a $4,000 profit, you then advance to 2 contracts. You get another $4,000 profit, so now you're up to $8,000 in profit, you go to 3 contracts. You go, and the reason I picked 4,000 is, one, if you should, even if you're not holding overnight, if you should ever get into the position where you do hold overnight, you'll always have enough margin to cover your overnight holdings, okay, for one. For two, you don't want to use too small a number, because the smaller the number you use, say you use 2,000, okay, or 1,000. The problem is that you start advancing contracts so fast that you can't even cover the day margin rates eventually, because you're advancing contracts so fast. It's too aggressive. On the other hand, if you say move to say 6,000 or 8,000, the problem on one contract is it takes you forever to make an $8,000 profit trade in one contract, so it takes too long. So what this really is, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ryan Jones, because it basically is a modified Ryan Jones method that I use. But basically, so as you start to make these $4,000 profits, you just increase contract, 2 contracts, 3 contracts, so on and so forth. Now, caveat here is, ultimately, even at $4,000, there's going to be a point in time, say for instance you get up to 20 contracts. Well, guess what? Making 4,000 bucks on a 20 contract, on a 20 lot trade isn't that big of a deal anymore. So actually, what I do after every 5 contracts, I'll increase from, you know, say from 4,000 to 5,000. Okay? And so then as you go up in 5s, you also increase the amount of money. And there's a point in time where you also may want to increase that by more than 1,000, but that's a great starting point. And if you start losing money now, let's say you got up to 12,000, you just started trading 4 contracts, right? Because you were at 2 at 4,000, you were at 3 at 8,000, you're now at 4 at 12,000. You lose 4,000 bucks, you start coming back down, you're in some sort of a drawdown, you come back down a contract. You go under 8,000, you come back down another contract. So it gives you a logical way to increase and or decrease contracts as you're doing well or not doing so well. And you would be amazed at, because I know a lot of people, I'm not going to mention names. I know a lot of people that, you know, they're very successful traders, but they don't understand how much more successful they would be if they started increasing their size on a routine schedule like this. The numbers are just mind-boggling, truly mind-boggling. I don't have that spreadsheet on this laptop. I wish I did right now. But it's truly mind-boggling to see the benefits of continuing to increase your contracts as your profits increase. It's amazing. So, you know, that's about all there is to it. It's fairly simple, fairly quick. There doesn't take any real brain surgery, but you know, 4,000 is a pretty good number to start with as far as increasing. And the other thing is, it's kind of funny, kind of sad, kind of ironic, but if you think about it, when you increase from 1 contract to 2, that is the biggest increase of risk you will ever have. Why? You've just doubled your risk. You've increased your risk by 100% to go from 1 contract to 2. But the nice thing is to go from 2 to 3, you've only increased your risk by 50%. To go from 3 to 4, you've only increased by 33%. To go from 4 to 5, you've only increased by 20%. To go from 10 to 11, you're only increasing your risk by 10%. So the more contracts you trade, once you get to the 10 contract area, you know, it doesn't matter. You're only very small by a very small increment increasing the amount of risk by adding another contract, but yet for those dollars in your pocket, it makes a lot of difference. So that's something to think about as well. So So what ends up happening, if you looked at this on a spreadsheet and actually, calculated something out, we'll just, for instance, say it took you 100 days, 150 days on one contract to get to a $4,000 profit. Okay, it's pretty achievable. Not a lot of profit. Take 150 days to do that. So at that stage in the game, you add 2 contracts. Well, guess what? Now your time period is shortened. Not quite by half, but pretty close. You add 3 contracts, your time period gets shortened. You get up to 10, 11 contracts, suddenly every few weeks, literally, or less, depending on what your target number is, you start, you're increasing contracts. So it's a proven method. It's a fairly simple method, and trust me when I tell you, it's a phenomenal way to grow your account. So something you might want to take a look at, something you might want to think about. Go ahead.
What is the starting account, the one that you mentioned yesterday, $20,000? Because once you start to increase, what is the start?
I'm not taking I'm not talking about capital in your account. I'm talking about making profits on whatever your account size would be. So if you had a $5,000 account, which based on what I told you yesterday, I certainly don't recommend such a thing, but if you did, once you had your $4,000 profit, you'd go ahead and increase to 2 contracts. If you had a $100,000 account, once you got your $4,000, you increase to another contract. So I don't really care about what the beginning account size is. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't have anything to do with increasing or decreasing, other than the fact that the more money you have in there, the greater buffer you have should something go wrong. Okay, should you have a bad trade. So, but again, as far as the increment up or increment down, and as far as the size wise, like I said, the SEC is pretty much determined. You need 25,000 to be a day trader. So realistically, you need more like 30,000. So I consider that to be a pretty small account. Probably 50, 60,000 is a medium account. 100,000, you're in good shape. Anything over that, you're just king of the hill. So it's you got to kind of trade by what you have, and most average accounts are small accounts. If the average brokerage account is $5,000, they qualify as a small account. So does that help? So it doesn't really matter what the starting account size is. Questions? Anything else? Yes? No, I won't.
Could you please go over how to create an Excel indicator?
No. You really want me to do that?
Yeah, we got this.
No, we don't. No, we don't. I'm going to show you real quick, and I'm not going to go into great detail. Let's open up a new chart. Let's open up something that I don't think I have anything on. Which is probably nothing. There you go. Boy, I got lucky with that one, didn't I? Okay. So if you want to use Excel, you're going to go to your indicators menu. You're going to go down to E for Excel. E for Excel. There you go. You're going to add it in up here. You're going to open it up and edit it, and you'll see it says example, which is fine. You're going to come over here. You're going to change this to Denver. Okay, this is a test. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, it tells you end days back, 0 equals all. If you have a lot of data, which most likely most of you do, you don't want to put all. You want to use as little as possible. So if it's saying number of days back, I'm just going to say 5.
Would that equate to the length of whatever indicator you're trying to create?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what you can do. Here, do I have it on here? I don't know. What is this? Is this Russell? Okay, I don't have that much data on Russell. Oh, this is a 27-minute chart, though. Ah, darn it.
5 over.
All right, I'll be brave, bold, and stupid. Okay, I'm going to do this. So you basically you just read these things here, and they are relatively self-explanatory. N number of days back, 0 equals all. N number of days to read, 0 equals all. Start on N bar, so if you want to start on 3 days ago or whatever, you put it in there. First 0 is a first, so and then N bar. So you say exit, and it's going to look for this file, which it's not going to have. It's going to open up a spreadsheet and name it Denver. And now, I did that wrong, didn't I? See, Carlos even left. He was smart. I did screw up. I have to rename it first. I got to rename it first, don't I, Ron? Yeah, I got to rename it first because I couldn't find it. There was no such file. Okay, hang on a second. Oh, okay, no, I didn't. Here it is right here. Except I don't think it actually created the link. Yeah, it didn't create the link. Hang on a second. Okay, strike that. Let me go back. It's been a while since I've done it. Okay, oh, no, I don't want 2 of them up there. Okay, just open that thing up. And now what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the default spreadsheet example. Okay, now we're in good shape. Now I can go in here, I can edit this thing and rename it, okay, to something else, all right? And you can see it's calculating down here because it's loading a whole bunch of data. It looks like it only went down 1,700. No, it went down further than that. Whatever it ends up down here. Okay, so it basically loads this data. And now you've got that data from that chart in this Excel spreadsheet. And I should have a page up. Yeah, could have done that too. I can't read without my glasses though. I can't see these small letters on the keyboard. Okay, so basically all this example spreadsheet has is the close, and you can see up here where it says data to load, date, D, time, open, high, low, close, volume. Okay, so you would just say, if you wanted this out here, you could say date. What happened there? You can say date, time, open, high, low, close, or whatever fields you wanted to put in there, and then it would load the data right down here. Okay, and here is the instructions over here as to what each of these lines do. So, does that help? That's what you would do to get started. And whenever, you got to know how to manage windows. So let me see. I don't want to change that. If you come back over here, if you have to go to the Windows. Oh, actually, yeah, I guess I did want that. You got to go to Windows Explorer. And you go to my computer, you go to your drive, you go to FTGT, which is a FibTrader folder, and right here you'll have Excel, and you'll also have a thing under here that says, you notice where it says Denver, and you notice where it says example. I'm going to get rid of that right now, because that's no good. Yes. And so you have example. This is the spreadsheets that you will have that are running, but actually, if you want to make any changes or anything, so let's see, Ron, what do we do? We change the name here? I don't recall, it's been so long. You can go right into the program, yeah. You go right to the program. Here, yeah, okay. So yeah, so once I change that, then I change this. Here we go. DENVER. Okay. Then I say exit. And it brought, oh, I know why, because I already created it and it brought it back in, yeah. But anyway, it was over here. Anyway, once you get this thing renamed, this is the file. This is where it's going to be. It's under FTGTXL. And beyond that, I forget. It's been so long since I've done it.
I usually save them in two places, in the pit trader and then Excel also.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you doing this? What do you get?
What do you get?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, why are you doing this?
Yeah, you make an indicator out of Excel.
You've got the full power of Excel to use and to do whatever you want. For instance, what I did, one of the spreadsheets that I did, you know, he works with a guy that has 15, 20 spreadsheets going that puts all kind of geometry on his screen. A simple thing that I did was created a spreadsheet that told me, basically I took an average of volume, and I don't really remember off the top of my head what I did. I think I took a 8-period moving average of the volume. And so basically I wanted to see volume spikes. So I would have it plot a dot on top of the bar, volume bar, every time I had a volume spike. I think it was 150% is where I started. So 150% greater than average, 175%, 200% greater than average. And I had dots plot, and so I could easily see, you know, depending on what the location of the dot was, plus the fact that you know, that it was even there, you know, I would see that, okay, that was a spike, volume spike, and it was further confirmation for me at turning points, because you will often see a run up or crash down and a volume spike right on the bar, or one bar before, one bar after, turning points quite often. So, you know, if I was getting to, say, a 1.618 expansion, and suddenly I had this big bar up, and I got my dot plotting down there on the volume telling me that I'm now, you know, 200% greater than average volume. It's like, yeah, I'm taking my target, okay? Because typically that's going to then at least stabilize and or come back, you know, retrace a little bit. So that's just one example, but you can basically do all, you know, anything that you can do in Excel.
Plots on the chart.
Yes. Yes. Well, as you could see, the example, you know, this is a blank chart. So if I just throw the example spreadsheet back up there again, you know, what the example is doing for you is, you know, it's doing this, you know.
How's that data getting into the spreadsheet?
From the program.
The program puts it there automatically?
Yes. That's why you want to be conscious of where I had zeros there.
Yeah.
If you say 0, it's going to read your entire, however much data you have. Which if you're just going to work with a spreadsheet offline, that's okay. But if you're doing this during real market time, forget it. Because Excel, if you don't know, well, actually he changed this, didn't he? He changed the default. Excel actually recalculates every time you change a value in a cell. Carlos actually, there's a place you can change it, and I forget where it is off the top of my head. It's something you would never normally do. But he's changed it to calculate at the close. Yeah, at the close of the bar. But nevertheless, if you've got a whole big string, if you've got thousands of data points in there, Excel is so slow to recalculate everything that you just see, wait, calculating down here for seconds, you know, 5, 10 seconds, depending on how much data you have and how much you've got going on your chart and your screen. And, you know, again, do you have just, you know, 500 bars loaded? Do you have 5,000 bars loaded? You got 30,000 bars loaded? Do you have one indicator? Do you have 15 indicators? You know, depends on what you have. But this thing, I have seen it, you know, say wait calculating for quite a while. One time on I had a 300 period Bollinger band on a 2-tick range bar on the bonds, which worked quite well, but the calculation time was immense. Every time it created a new bar, it would sit there and recalculate for 5 or 6 seconds. So it's a great little system, but
Once you got the data in there, you can manipulate it with Excel, and now you get it. You want to put it back on your chart. You want to put something on your chart. And I'm not clear as to how you define how you get that.
it's all in those fields there.
The spreadsheet is actually imported as an indicator. Right.
Oh, okay.
When you go up the indicator instead of choosing.
Here. Here's the spreadsheet. Here's the spreadsheet. And I don't know where my home key is, so. So, okay, all up in here, up in the left-hand corner, all these top fields, it says data to load, number of plot lines 1 to 6, plot lines start on column L. So you basically identify the things up in here and whatever. See how he has number of lines to plot. He has a 2 out here. So you got plot 1 and plot 2 right here. You know, plot lines start on column L. So where you have column L is right here. That's your plot line 1, okay?
That's your data. That's your
So-
results of your calculation.
So you're identifying your positioning here by the fields up here, and then you're putting your formulas in wherever, okay? And like I said, you can put date, time, open, high, low, close, value, volume, open, interest, you know, and of course the more fields you put in, the further out your data would come, okay? So
So that's the data that it'll pull in.
Well,
what,
that's the date under plot that actually plots on the chart.
It pulls in the data from column L and M.
well, no, the data's over here. This is the data that it pulled in from from Fibonacci Trader. And then you're using that data to make your calculations over here.
And so you only put close up here, and it's only going to pull in close.
Yes,
All right.
yes,
Put over high, low, close, you start pulling in.
yes, yes. But since close is the only field that's in there in the example, then that's all that it filled in was the close. Okay? And again, the reason why it went so far down is because I put 0, so it read my entire data file down. And again, you know, since you can do this intraday or whatever, and you can say date and time, and so you'll actually see the time, and so on and so forth. The volume spreadsheet that I used, I think I did that, I forget if I did that on a 1-minute chart or a 3-minute chart, but you know, I kept very few bars because, again, the calculation time is immense. You know, I think I just loaded like maybe a day, like the day before, you know, 1 day's worth of bars. So,
Is each row of data one bar?
yeah. Yeah. So if you had, say these were daily bars, just for instance, and you had date, time, open, high, low, close, so you'd have, you know, like September 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. So, okay. Anything else?
Separate subject, on creating, I guess, coloring these price charts, Dennis Bowles has this index that he uses, this VOLD, and he's got it somehow set up so that if it's positive values, it paints green, and if
It's on the website, a complete video on exactly how to do it. On,
Good answer, Peter.
which website?
Fibonacci Trader website.
I'll show you where.
I asked about how to put the sound.
Oh, easy. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can make a sound file for anything in the program, and you would do that. I'm just going to show you right now where you'd put it in first, okay? So you would go to Utilities, Global Settings, and where is it? Sound Alarms, okay? Oh, did he show that too? Or change that too? Oh, he changed that too. Oh, he's sneaky. Wait, is it so? Oh, okay. So you'd say play wave file here, and then you could put your file name in here, and you know, you could just do this, and then you would search through wherever you had your sound file located, okay? And then you could say test. But if you wanted to do it on an individual chart, oh, I got to just say speaker. If I wanted to put it on an individual chart, I go to the chart options dialog box and say sound, same thing. I put the file name in here. Now basically all you've got to do, you're first of all going to have to get a microphone, okay? And let's see, one of these is real. Okay, so you come over here to your, probably under Programs and Accessories, and you just go to your Microsoft Sound Recorder, okay? And you say, I'm tired of talking, that's it. Okay? And let's see, we want to say File, Save As, and I'll save it as Denver, so I'll know what to erase. And I guess I'll just save that in My Music. Okay. I'll save that there. And then all I've got to do is come here, go back to, and I'm going to put this just on this chart only, okay? So each individual chart, you come here, you look for My Music. Wait a minute, Documents, My Music, Denver, open, and then you can test it. And if you were up here, you would have heard it, but you didn't hear it. Oh, okay. That's a good idea. I'm tired of talking. That's it. Okay. So you just that's how you put it on an individual chart. So you've got the opportunity to either do it on an individual chart, or now the question is, how do you delete this from here?
Let me ask you this, how do you take that sound file to activate on a certain thing that you want it to activate on?
Do what now? What do you want to do?
For instance, like, let's say Yuri said that if it broke the bar by 2 ticks,
Yeah.
how do I get it to set an alarm like that?
On the alarms.
I don't know if it'll do it on a regular alarm. I don't believe it will. Also, if you right-click on the open thing, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, you right-click and you get this menu of all kind of things. We're going to say New, and we're going to just put one in here. Of course, we can't do it because we're not moving, so we can't really trigger it. I don't know if it'll do it on just an alarm. I think it actually will. But basically, you would set an alarm. Will it? Will the sound file go on a regular alarm? If you have a sound file, a wave file associated with this chart, and you set an alarm, okay, so there's your answer, it will work. So basically, you just record it just like I did, and then I don't know, let's go ahead and try, see if I can just move it, and maybe, I can't do it, it'll have to be real data? Okay. Well, and the other way is, that's basically the way I did it, is I would have it in my system. So whenever my system gave me a signal, then it'll come up and say, and basically, if you have, well, this doesn't really matter for the most part. Email, where is it? Sound alarms. Here's 2 different ways to display the dialog boxes, and it doesn't really matter. And again, if you wanted to do it globally for any chart and all charts, you would just do it here as opposed to on the individual chart. Okay, but yeah, these 2. This doesn't matter, I guess.
I guess my question more was, how do I go about
Oh, here, right here. You right click, say chart alarm, new, come over here and click. This little red line is here.
He means on an indicator, so that when the indicator,
When the bar,
crosses the dynamic trio line.
that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, there's a place to check.
There's an alarm, yeah, alarm right in the indicator, window that comes up.
Here, here. You want to use a dynamic trio. So, using dynamic trio.
There's a video on that too.
Oops, I don't want two of them. Okay, here's a dynamic trio. So you come in and you edit the dynamic trio, alarm, results. So this will alarm on condition, only last bar. This will show trades on the chart. This will paint the lines, but these have nothing to do with the alarm itself. The only one you need for the alarm is right here. Okay?
And then, but how do you tell it that you want it to go off when it goes through by 2 ticks?
Well, the indicator is set up by default to use 2 ticks.
Okay.
Okay? So when it says by number of ticks, 2, so if you wanted to change that to some other value, you'd put another value, but the default value is 2 ticks. So when this closes above or below the indicator by 2 ticks, it's going to alarm that that is what has happened.
Is there a place to tell what wave file you want to play for that alarm?
What I just got done showing you.
You went to general tab to do that, right?
No. You go right here to chart options for this chart. And you put a sound right there.
So all alarms on this chart will say the same thing?
Yes. You're not going to have multiple sounds saying, go long, go short, crossover, da da da. Yes, that's true. You will have, you know.
Red box.
That, the way that it would be if there was a drop, you know, it would have to be, they would have to program it to have this window in each indicator. Then you know.
Good luck. You know, I tell you, I've used it for a long time, and I mean, really, if you think about it, if you're a full-time trader, what's your job? It's trading. It's being in front of the screen. The reason you have an audible alarm is to alert you, and in my case, I have it more for anything than, you know, if I'm off in the kitchen getting some breakfast or getting something to drink or eat or whatever, and something happens, and I suddenly hear myself talking to myself, it's like, hey, drop the milk, I gotta go. Okay, so does it really matter what it says? You know, does it matter that it says go long? Does it matter that it says exit your trade? I mean, you gotta do something, so get moving. So, you know, I tend to slightly agree with you, but on the other hand, after I started using it, it was like, you know what, it really doesn't matter, because the fact is, I need to be here. There is something I need to do, so does it matter what it says? So, okay. I think I've worn most of the crowd out. Most of the crowd's gone. You're welcome. Is that it? Okay, thank you.
These must be just the 1%ers. Yeah.